This week on Stogie Geeks, episode 261, we interview Phil Zanghi of Debonaire Cigars and Indian Motorcycle Cigars. We have live in studio Jake Healey for our industry spotlight and Sticks of the Week, all right here on the Stogie Geek Show.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Hat tip, can we play that?
Yeah, one more time.
Can I hear a...
Yes!
Yeah!
Enjoy the dirt.
Guests and friends here in studio, including a regular cast of characters, Mr. Joe Hollywood to my right.
How are you?
That's awesome. Joe D's here. Rainman's here. What's going on, Joe D?
Roundtable discussions.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Welcome to the Stogie Geek Show. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. This is episode 261. We're jumping right into the interview. We are speaking to Phil Zanghi. I assume he needs no introduction. If he does, go to the wiki page, wiki.stogiegeeks.com. We'll get his bio up there for you, and you can follow us along with the show notes. Phil, how are you, sir?
I'm blessed, gentlemen. How about yourself?
We're doing pretty good. We're going to jump right into the interview segment. I just found out that you are a boxing fan. Is that correct?
I'm a fanatic. More like a fanatic.
All right, so we're going to spend our last 5 minutes of our time with you, our short time with you. We do have a time constraint for the listeners at home, so we're going to have to reschedule. And I actually had a whole segment planned, Phil, to talk about boxing. I am a fanatic. I am a participant, but I guess we'll just squeeze that in on the last part. We have someone here who is chomping at the bit to ask you a question, who should need no introduction. His name is Jake Healey. Jake,
What's going on?
how you doing, sir?
Jake.
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm also joined by my co-host this week, Joe D. How's it going over there?
What's that, boys?
Doing good?
Yeah, man.
Jake, shoot.
How you doing, Phil?
I've known Phil
I'm
for a
blessed
long time.
to see you.
You know, it's good to see you, actually, because I haven't seen you in quite some time now. You know, when they asked me to come up with a couple of questions, the first thing that sprung to my mind was, you know, you're so laid back. If you were any more laid back, you'd have trouble getting off the floor. You know, everything's easy, everybody's happy. And Jonathan Drew, hanging out with Jonathan Drew is like being in a pinball machine. You know what I mean? He's over here, he's upside, and he's a great guy, and he's awesome to hang out with, but it always kind of seemed like you guys could be a sitcom. Like, you guys are the odd couple.
Probably.
So when it came around to kind of getting Drew Estate to do the distribution, how did that come about?
Great question.
It was actually through John. He came down to a pro cigar festival that's actually coming up right now. And he was with me at the factory tour. And he said, hey, you know what? I got this new people work. I'm working with Swisher now, and they're looking for something to distribute the premiums. And what would you think if I pitched it? So actually, Johnny's the one who pitched it to him. And then, you know, sometimes when your buddies say stuff, you're like, okay, cool, man, no worries. And then he goes, you know, okay, I'm going to put it through the channels. And it went through the channels, and it got set in stone. And next thing you know, we've been distributing. It's almost going on 2 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it really is great, because I've always been a huge fan of Debonaire cigars, and they were hard to get for a while. You know, so it's good to see that you now have a whole new fan base and a whole new customer base that's been turned on to the product.
And it's guys like you, though, that really did a lot for me. You know, Rhode Island's been one of my strongholds of Mr. Joyle, and then you got on board, and a lot of people have now, I keep it real exclusive, too. I don't really sell it to many people. Still now, I'm really tight with it. It's in the DDRP program of Drew Estate, and we're working on a whole new projects that are coming out now to do like a big push in the DDRPs coming up this year, and also with Indian Motorcycle, we got some new cool things coming out. It's just got to really keep up on pace and all that stuff. And it's fun. It's been interesting. I've learned a lot because I've been manufacturing for years. but I wasn't really in the public eye much for like about 10 years. So getting back in it, it's that the first 3 years by myself, then there's the last 2 years with them, and I've learned a lot. It's been a super good education. It's a real big outfit, and I've learned a lot from them, and it's shown me how to do business in the big scale. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which one do you like better, Phil? Not to put you on the spot, but being in the public or kind of being in the background?
I like it both. To be honest with you,
both have their pluses and minuses, right?
Yeah, both have the pluses and minuses. You know, it's like being the trainer and the fighter at the same time. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure. I have a funny feeling this interview is going to go probably really into boxing really quick. Joe D, you have a question?
I'm a big fan of all your work, Phil, and I felt that Daybreak is, had the luxury of smoking that recently, and man, that's like, I feel that's like the last feather in the cap that was needed, the portfolio, and man, is that a great stick. Very enjoyable.
Thank you so much. That's what, it's weird you say that last feather in the cap term. I mean, that's kind of pretty much what I thought.
Yep.
I pushed Debonaire with the Havana first, and then I brought the Maduro out. A little more, party offerings. Then everybody was saying, you need to do a Connecticut, especially in the Northeast where you guys are at. You do a Connecticut, it'll be amazing. It'll be amazing.
For sure.
So I tried new blends and stuff, but I said, you know what? The core blend, the Debonaire, is so good. Let's see what it really will taste like with a Connecticut shade, an Ecuadorian Connecticut that's been cured for like 2 years. So it's not so high yellow. It's more golden. But man, that's exactly the same blend as on all the Debonaires. I didn't change anything. But it's such a drastically different cigar. It's so much smoother, buttery. I mean, it's brought a new life to Debonaire. Well, Debonaire wasn't stalling, but it was super slow growth.
Right.
But now it's like it's jumped off.
Spice, earth, nuttiness, it all all encompassing, and it's a very smooth cigar. Very tasty.
Yeah, it's like smoking a stick of butter.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Keep buying them, keep pushing them, because I'm going to keep making them.
Absolutely.
Nice, absolutely. You have another question, Jake? Statement?
I'm trying to think of how to say this. So now you kind of have started traveling a lot more. What's that sort of like, that exposure of meeting the people that are smoking the cigars? Because I feel like when you're down in the factory, you don't hear as much feedback. What's it like getting that feedback, and how does it change what you do?
Well, since I started, I traveled a lot. But with these guys for the last 2 years, it's been at least 100 days minimum on the road. So what I can say is that I truly do love people. People seem to really take to me, and it humbles me. And a lot of people, the amazing thing is I've been doing the prayer for the day and the positive thoughts for the day since I started. And there'll be times I'm in Michigan or Chicago or middle of nowhere places, I mean, not even those aren't middle of nowhere. I'm talking little places, in like Montana or something. And someone will come up to me during an event, say, "Hey, you're Phil Zanghi, huh?" I go, "Yeah, man." And you are. It's nice to meet you. And they're like, "Well, I just want to say thank you for putting those prayers up every day. I look forward to them." And they're like, "Give me a hug." And they're like, "Well, you make cigars too, don't you?" I go, "Yeah, I mean, I'm the Debonaire guy." That's
a few.
He goes, "Yeah, I saw this event." They're like, "Well, they go and grab handfuls of them." I'm like, "Have you ever smoked my stuff?" They're like, "No, I do now."
Yeah, I always enjoy the prayer of the day.
It's beautiful. Yeah, a lot of people dig it. I do it just for myself and for everyone out there. It's not really to be answered. It's more to start the day off with a good positive thought. And especially in this day and age with all kinds of stuff happening out there in the world, it's just something, a breath of fresh air sometimes,
It's a refreshing counterpart to bring together with the world of cigars, man. It goes hand in hand.
That's the Debonaire ideal. I mean, you'll be seeing this year we're coming out with a 12-month Debonaire calendar, and each month has its own either thought or idea or part of the idea. We have a bunch of stuff that we're more focusing on. It's going to be more alchemy driven, not to let the cat out of the bag. We're going to be our promotions and media is going to be more towards education of what Debonaire really means, And then on the Indian front, we're working with Indian very close now, and more than ever before. And we're going to, if it's in your blood thing, their new ad campaign, we're working close with them, and the Smoke History campaign, all that together. It's just Yeah, but getting back to being on the road, I mean, the only thing I miss is my family, you know, and that's. But I don't miss any dates that are important. No anniversaries, no birthdays, no holidays, stuff like that. But I love it, man. I'm not gonna lie. I like being on the road. I like staying in hotels. I like moving around. I'm a hyper guy, and I like people. I like talking to people. I like learning stuff about new towns and cars and people, like just talking. I'm interested in people. I just like people, you know. I like to see what they're saying. And in between, we smoke a cigar together. We create a memory together. We it's a budding friendship thing, or an acquaintance turned into a friend, and that's what I love about this industry, and that's what I thought lacked a lot of times, is that personalization. That's why I busted my butt for those first 3 years, me, myself, and I, being on the road, being the salesman, being the distributor, you know, and it's paid off. We're just, this year's earmarked for huge growth, and I can't wait. I just want to thank everybody out there that's believed in me, still wants to buy the stuff, still wants to listen to me, and I just can't be more thankful, and I just feel, you know, blessed, honestly.
Appreciate your hard work, and happy to have you back in the spotlight, man, where you belong.
Yeah, and if you've never been able to meet Phil or been to an event where Phil's been at, you definitely got to find one, because hanging out with Phil is definitely a great experience.
I heard rumor that you're potentially making the pilgrimage up here to the Northeast. Is that true?
I've heard inklings of that.
Is that true?
I'm coming soon. I'll be there soon once it warms up.
Welcome visit. There you go.
So what do you think, June?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah.
Hey, June. It's on the calendar. I always love the Northeast. I'm going to start. It just got so much that there were so many territories that I never went to, you know, and the Northeast. I like the Jakes of the world and the Joyles of the world and the Zach Fatakises in Worcester and the Garofalos and all these guys. They're my friends. You know?
Sure.
So I kind of tell them what I'm doing and explain to them why I'm not going to be there. And they understand that because it's a business. And they're like, well, go do your business, but you're always welcome home. But for me, honestly, coming to the Northeast is my favorite part. I love it. I'm from there. I love doing all the stuff that, you know, all the trappings of the Northeast, you know, from the leaves changing to the summertime going by the lake and the flea markets and, you know, the seafood. I just love it. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I plan it real strategically so I can actually have fun and stay over weekends and stuff and go do stuff and go see my friends. And, you know, it's home of Indian. You're talking about Springfield, Mass. My grandfather's from Boston. My other part of my family's from New York. I mean, I'm a Northeast person. You know, I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
Looking forward to pinning you in for a live interview in studio next time you're in New England.
Yeah,
when
you're in studio, we definitely got to hone down a bigger time space so we can, you know, talk a little bit and expand more.
You know, you're all new. You're all new there. I've been doing this show since like the inception, and I mean, I would be there for hours on end.
Joe just wants more time to talk boxing.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I know the Stogie Geeks listeners, like, you know, ask them some questions, right? Ask them some questions. You know, anything coming up?
I sponsor fighters. I've sponsored fighters at the beginning. I've sponsored fighters. Edwin Rodriguez out of Worcester. I had Ivan Redkech out of L.A., a Ukrainian guy. Mm-hmm. I got a guy, Diego Arias, here out of the Dominican. Another name, Debonaire Dustin. He's out of Florida. I love the fight game. You know,
yeah.
I love it. I just don't fight. No, I train every day. I still spar. I still all that, but there's no fighting in me no more. I mean, there's no future in it. But if I can live vicariously through these cats, it's pretty blessed. And the gentleman that works for me, Jared Ingrasanos, who's my brand manager at Drew State, he came on last May. That guy's been integral in a lot more of my success and the growth we've been doing now. Great guy, ex-fighter himself, incredible shape. Just a good guy. He knows more about boxing. He's forgot more about boxing than I know.
Yeah, awesome. We got to get him and you on the show as well. And does he travel with you or no? He wouldn't travel to the Northeast?
Sometimes.
Oh, I was saying
sometimes he was just there for last year. We've done twice the Mickey Ward event.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, the golf outing. You know, so he was there for one of them. The year before was John Hart. So I'm trying to get up there this year. That's why I'm trying to plan around that time. That's when you'll see me. So maybe we all can meet over there, and you can help support the cause, and also meet Mickey. And there's a bunch of fighters around there. It's good stuff.
Yeah. That sounds like an awesome segment and a great opportunity to expand. I love it. I still spar myself. Sparring youngsters at the moment. So I'm chasing a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old. If you're doing the math, I'm 43. But it's amazing, like seeing the future of the sport and how fighters are not what they used to be there. But then again, within that game, nothing really is. And then even, I don't know if you've ever gotten into the MMA aspect of it too, the mixed martial arts component.
It's fighting, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
I love it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it all. Boxing's sweet science, so I go back home.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on Tough Man boxing.
Oh, for that.
Remember those the 3 5-minute rounds?
Yeah,
some farmer from Idaho and a dad from like Wisconsin.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll throw them together, and whoever wins gets 15 grand.
Butterbean and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I used to beg my dad to go on that show.
Well, your interview turned into more of a coming soon preview, right?
Yeah, man.
Because of your time constraints, but I do want to have respect for your time. And I want to follow my word and have you out of here on time for that. So if in the next couple of weeks, if we could schedule an hour together, if you could, email us back and let us know, maybe we can.
Sure, no problem.
Maybe we can fulfill that.
Remember, I'm an hour behind you guys.
I know, rookie move.
Yeah.
It was a rookie.
That was the only.
It was a rookie move by us. It was a rookie move, but I know. Anything you want to say? Just to kind of wrap this up. Like I said, he's got a time constraint, and.
Right, my introduction to your product, Phil, was Indian Motorcycle. Had a 2000 Indian Chief, maroon and cream back in the day, and that still holds true. That's my favorite on the line. All sizes, smoke's great, and just curious. You work with Drew Estate, but any other future collaborations on the front that you can maybe tip us off, get a little teaser if there's anything, or you want to hold that for next time?
We just got some new stuff coming out of dealership program for Indian. Got to be spread around. We're going to be working. We're doing some this year. We're earmarked this year to do some bike giveaways.
Nice.
Some big stuff.
There you go.
It's going to be pretty intense. It's going to be great. And we're just looking to put more cigars in people's hands. I mean, that's what it comes down to,
Yeah.
And everyone's loving the stuff. It's not gone down. I mean, Indian it's still, they're better than ever. I never stop making improvements at the factory level. And I got a great factory behind me, De Los Reyes, Yorker Reyes, Augusto Reyes. These are some real good people that are like family to me. I got some great partners in Danny Sinclair and the rest of the cats there at Debonaire House that are my main partners. As I said, I got Jared Ingressano, the new addition, but he's an old soul. He's been integral in keeping me on pace, and he's got the learning out there that he knows the streets. He knows what's happening. No, basically what it's going to be is going to be a lot more content.
There you go.
For Debonaire.
Okay.
And for Indian. So you're going to see a lot more of what it really means, and just trying to build the brand more, because the brands are still very young, and to muddy the water with all kinds of new stuff, even though I brought a lot of stuff out because of the FDA, and I have it in my cache, but I don't think we've even seen what Indian, Maduro, and Habano can do. I don't think we've even seen.
Time will tell. Beautiful thing.
The vehicle of Daybreak, what that will do for Debonaire. So that's it. Let's give it some time. And guys like you loving it mean a lot to me. And we'll put together another hour when we really can sit and talk, and we'll go over everything you want to go over, and we'll talk fight and all you want, and whatever.
I'm in.
Absolutely.
I'm in. Sounds good.
Appreciate it, Phil.
Thank you very much for your time, Phil. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Stogie Geeks listeners, we'll be right back with the next segment. Stay tuned. We're also going to do a wrap-up about this interview. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest growing boutique cigar companies, providing smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the same quality, construction, and detail which he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran Premium Cigar Series, Azan Cigars, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran Cigars uses a seed-to-humidor approach, as all tobacco is grown on their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome back to Stogie Geeks episode 261. This is volume 2. I'm your host, Joe Hozempa, filling in this week for Paul. Got co-host over here, Joe D, filling in. How's it going, sir?
Good, man. Playing through. I'm under the weather a little bit, but I'm here.
You're still here. You, like I said, you need to take
play through.
You need to take a 2 or 3 day hiatus.
You're either the world's worst hypochondriac,
Yes.
or you need to be hospitalized immediately.
Both.
You need to keep all of that over there, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake, if you need to squeeze,
That's why you took that chair.
Scooch over there, yeah.
You walked in the room, you're just boom right there.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning into the show, thank you for joining us. If you've listened to the first segment, we got a little inside stuff that we got to talk to you about in regards to that segment. Originally, we were going to have a much bigger time constraint or a much bigger timeline in order for us to have our interview with Phil. And as we were going through some technical stuff, as you know, the Wi-Fi isn't 100% the best in the Dominican. Then we had some other technical stuff going down, and then we all, as we were all talking, Joe D, myself, and Phil, we realized that we weren't talking the same time zone. Right? We're just you know, you gotta admit when you know,
happens.
Stogie Geeks cannot go international.
No. I want to let the listener know, because you know, as the host of episode 261, they got to know, like, what was that I just watched?
Yeah.
Because if I hosted Stogie Geeks and watched that, I'd be asking, you know, I would be saying, if I watched it, I'd be like, what was that?
What just happened?
What just happened? And you know, it's
A little taste of more to come.
Well, no, honestly, it's a taste of let's be candid with the audience, right? Yeah. Let's be candid with the audience. We were so involved in doing our show prep in time and questions and dialogue for the show, and as you can tell, that we were going to talk a little bit about the future of his company, a little bit about where he came from, introduce some of the newer Stogie Geeks listeners to who he is, if you don't know who he is already.
Right.
And then we were going to have a really strong boxing component for the Stogie Geek episode, and then it was there. But we all forgot to ask one question. Were we talking about Eastern Standard Time or his time? And more importantly, he had a previous appointment, so that's why his time turned into to me, it was an infomercial.
You're a busy man.
You know,
he's a busy cat.
Busy man.
To me, it was an infomercial.
Beautiful thing. Stogie Geeks listeners can go back and Stogie Geeks archives.
You know what, the bottom line takeaway is this. Phil's a great guy.
Yep.
The cigars are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That Daybreak has totally changed his world, I think. Because even that Habano, you could put it in a Connecticut smoker's hands, just because that cigar is so good and is so easy to smoke.
Agreed.
But I think now that Daybreak, if you've never had one, go and find one. It's a total game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar with Debonaire, you gotta find a shop, because once you smoke one, you never go back.
Okay, so let me not to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot. You have experience with that cigar?
Absolutely.
Take the Stogie Geeks listener through that cigar. You don't have to worry about
there's
if you know Rapper Binder Filler, cool. Like, you know what I mean? But, you know, take us through, like, you know.
Binder Filler is a little bit different. But
when you were introduced to it, how you got introduced to it specifically, and take the listener to
So I was introduced to it a few years ago, actually. Paul had a dinner with Phil there, and I had never even heard of Debonaire. I had no idea what was going on. And
okay, for the listeners, Paul Joyle.
Yes,
correct?
Paul Joyle.
Paul Joyle of
the one, the only Paul Joyle of Mr. J's Havana Shop, and he invited me to come down, and I wound up going to the dinner and met Phil and smoked the cigars and said, "Wow, this is good. Those cigars are on a different level than a lot of others. I mean, they're what other cigar companies try to get to, and Phil's just blows the doors off everything he does, and he's just so easy to talk to and so easy to hang out with, and
there's certainly no misses. For his initial couple of offerings to be that standalone and tasty as hell. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you see these big companies that come up with a new blend every day. He's only got the 3 lines of Debonaire. He's got, even up until recently, it was just the 2. It was the Habano and the Maduro.
Right.
And now that he's got that Connecticut, he covers all smokers. And I'd rather you come out with 1 good cigar every few years than pump out 5 good cigars in a year and 10 that are and another 5 that wind up for $2 a piece on CI.
Do what you do and do it the right way.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're going to do something, do it all the way, do it well, and that's what Phil's always done. He takes a lot of pride in what he does.
He had mentioned too that those first 3 years, relentless, efforts, just all basically all on his shoulders, getting out there, and took a little bit of time away. And now he's brought back that resurgence, ready to hit the market again and be more visible in interviews and. Certainly back up that Daybreak.
Yeah. And that's when I heard he was going with Drew, I was very, very excited for him because that's going to open up a whole new world of smokers to Debonaire. And it like I said, it kind of struck me funny because Phil Zanghi is so easy and so relaxed, and Jonathan Drew is so not. I don't think Jonathan Drew sleeps. I'm pretty sure he's a vampire and he just takes like 20-minute naps all day.
Complete odd couple status.
And then wakes up and goes, "Oh shit, I had a dream. I got to do this." And then goes to like a whiteboard in his bedroom and starts writing things down.
It's probably a good observation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, you've met Jonathan.
Yes.
Yeah, it is literally like being in a pinball machine and watching the pinball bounce around. So it's kind of like that's a sitcom. That's the odd couple right there. Is Phil and John hanging out, but they're both great guys and they're both very passionate about what they do, and that's why I think it was a great pairing because their passion matches each other.
You know what I think that's interesting about the relationship too? If you take character, like we've only had a chance to interview Phil today for a limited amount of time, but if there was one takeaway from that short interview was the fact that he generally seems a man of character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he concentrates on or seems to concentrate. I don't want to speak for him, but he seems to concentrate on stuff that's important to him.
Yeah.
Family, work-life balance. I think his resume. Had we had more time, I wanted to go into more of the beginning findings of his resume and how it morphed into Debonaire and what he's currently doing with Debonaire and potentially the future of that and kind of predictions of what he I don't want to say expects from the relationship, but I'm going to say it because this is a one-sided conversation. Right. So what he expects from that relationship with Drew to take it to the next level. I'm
thinking exposure. Exposure is big, and
absolutely.
The online, social media presence of Drew Estate, certainly that culture there.
And having met him and known him 4 or 5 years ago, and seeing where he is now, I'm so happy for him. He's really crushing it.
And
he
then
really is.
And then Jake, you brought up a good point in the beginning of this segment where he tends to take his time when he's producing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you said, I'm quoting here, better to produce a good 2 blends and then work on a 3rd one than just start spitting out blends.
Well, especially now because everybody's so afraid of the FDA. Everybody's trying to get these new cigars out as fast as they can, and some of them just aren't ready. They're just not perfectly perfected, and Phil's not going to release a cigar because he's one of those people that really cares about the people that smoke his cigar, and he wants you to have the best experience you possibly can with it. So he's not going to put out something that isn't ready.
Yeah, in business they say that you can go you can go far or wide with your product. So you can go far, meaning you can have 10 blends, produce them, pump them out. Shops order 8 of the 10 blends, 5 come in.
Yeah.
There's a rigmarole with that. Some companies are more notorious with that than others. Or you can go wide and try to have your product go a little bit deeper and cater to the palate and have less offerings, but potentially
Right.
better quality, better stick.
Phil spoke on the initial point of the interview there. Just the small amount of retail partners that were really on board, with him and the movement initially, and he didn't try and flood the market and oversaturate. He's trying to do it the right way.
Yeah, because whenever you sell cigars, you really have to develop a partnership between the shops you're working with and your company.
Cultivate that following.
And I'd rather personally, if I own my own cigar company, have a great relationship with a few people.
Absolutely.
Than have a bad relationship with a lot of people, because that's really what helps you build your brand better, I think, at least.
Yep,
And
create those strongholds.
even though Phil's line isn't this massive line of 9 million different things, he's got the Daybreak, which is the Connecticut, which is great for a mild smoker.
Yep.
The Habano is still my favorite, the thing that he's ever done. That Habano, medium body, it's got a little spice on the finish, but nothing insane. It's easy to smoke. It's got a very luxurious feel to it. And then that Maduro, you get a little power with it. It's everything he makes is good.
For me, that the Indian with the just really nice leathery components. That's something
that Maduro is fantastic, and great price points on those too.
Great price point. It just feels right. It's a good cigar all around.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Indian motorcycle stuff? Have you tampered with some of that?
I'm a big fan of the Indian stuff myself. Like I said, it's a lower price point, so it's really easy to pick up. It's not hard to get people to smoke them, just because it is that lower price point. So it's one of those where if you don't like it, you only spend $8-9 on it.
Sure.
But it's really impossible not to like.
Yeah.
Holds true a little bit more for me. A little nostalgia with previously owning a Indian motorcycle. Myself.
Because you even said it. I started with Debonaire. You started with Indian.
Right. Right. And it might have been the price point too. I saw the Indian out first, and that's probably my first love. But I've moved on to the Debonair as well. Now that Daybreak, it just ties it all together.
Yeah, that Daybreak was exactly what he needed to do, and he did it perfectly.
Yeah, I think he delivered it. I mean, is
Well, I
really
had
not much more.
number 7 on my top 10 in 2017 last time I was here?
Yeah. It's like I said, it's the ideal business situation is if you can go through your channels for business with patience.
Yeah.
And persistence. And I think that in a short time you could definitely pick that up. That he was patiently persistent. Now he has this relationship where Drew is doing all of the distribution, right?
Yep.
And then from there, it's Drew. So it's Drew, and when you're dealing with Jonathan, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Well,
that was one of the reasons I was excited too, because now that he's with Drew, he's got Subculture Studios that could do all this crazy artwork for him and all this awesome stuff, and the promotion. Drew is the best cigar promoter on the face of the planet. They really are.
Yeah, they do a phenomenal job.
It's hard to argue otherwise. That's on the forefront right now.
And one other point I wanted to make with Phil, and we can definitely rehash that, is here on the Stogie Geeks show we interview a bunch of different people, and we have in studio guests, bunch of different guests, all different backgrounds, and he's been through the technological barrier from selling cigars. What I mean by technological barrier is, pre-social media, pre-Facebook. Some of the boutiques now that come out have the luxury, or some of the new cigar owners of brands have the opportunity to, jump on that Facebook.
Absolutely.
I wanted to elaborate more on him with that. Like,
it's definitely much easier to get a hype behind your product now than it was.
Of course it is, and it's much easier, But I venture to say that from my experience in business, and his experience in business, that both of them probably address their certain limitations as well.
Yeah.
But I wonder what it would be like in a day now of marketing a brand or a blend or a cigar or a stick, whether it be one stick or a whole blend. I wonder what it would be like to go back to what it would be like pre-Facebook.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing my own reflection of his resume and doing that, he was selling cigars in a time where, we had 56K dial-up. Right, we had 56K dial-up. Internet.
Get off the phone. I gotta check my email.
And where companies would flock to print publications.
Yeah.
And so the timeline of now via social media, we can go live into the factory if they choose to go live.
Yeah,
we can
Which
see.
LFD's been great with doing lately. They've been having a lot of really cool videos coming out of their factory.
Yeah, see, we're going to spend some time and with the Stogie Geek segment, we're going to kind of transition into that. You know, where I wonder what it would be like to just what were the expectations? I wonder if the numbers were a 5,000 box run was the max versus 10,000 or like what were those and
Well, yeah, because a lot of people don't realize too, if you're coming out with a new cigar and you have another factory making it, they require a minimum. So it's not like you can just say, hey, let's make a few boxes of these and see what happens. It's no, you got to make 10,000 boxes of these or it's not worth it for us to do. So it's a big risk you take.
Yep.
You're putting a lot of money out, and you might not necessarily see it back because it could be a flop.
Now, he's worked on some other projects besides his stuff, correct?
Not really that I know of.
Okay.
I know he's been involved in the cigar business for a really, really long time. I've just always been so focused on Debonaire with him because it really is just that good of a cigar. I've never had anybody send one back at my shop. I know that much. And it's one of those deals where once I get somebody smoking it, they ask for it again.
Sure.
Well, he was together with Rocky Patel on Indian Tobacco, and then it sold that his end of it back in 2002, and then reacquired again. I believe it was 2014.
Oh, that's right. He was originally with Indian.
Right. And because my experience with Phil back then, and this is where it,
you go way back. Yeah.
This is where it comes about that, where the whole social media thing. When me and my partner owned a cigar shop in Providence, we didn't have Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have MySpace.
So you're just standing on the sidewalk going, "Come to the spot."
Shoulder to leg,
It was really, and then we had the.
You did have an art division, though.
Well, yeah, we did.
His name's Sean O'Melia.
Right.
Nice.
We did have experience with dealing with Indian tobacco, and the experience of selling it, and then all of a sudden you hear that cigar's not going to be on the market anymore, and then you go. I think it was 2002.
Yeah, 2002.
So that was about the time that we closed the shop. So for that, it wasn't like people came in flocking for him and then came in. But I remember,
pretty sure those original blends went by the wayside, and they started totally fresh. I believe in 2014 when he.
Well, it's actually funny too because I have a photo. Well, I don't have it. A buddy of mine has a photo of him and Rocky Patel. I said, what's so important about that photo? He goes, well, that was the night we were in New York, and Rocky was talking about Indian and how he didn't know what the future of Indian was going to be. And I looked right at him and said, dude, everybody knows you from you doing this. Just call your brand Rocky Patel.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how Rocky Patel started.
Right. Yeah.
It went from Indian, and then everybody said, we know who Rocky Patel is now. Let's just call it Rocky Patel.
Yep.
Yeah. And obviously the Stogie Geeks listener should need no introduction to who that is.
No.
That's crazy.
Funny we're talking about. I'm going to a Rocky Patel event tonight.
Oh, really?
Paul Joyle over at local restaurant Melance's. Interesting.
Nice.
It's all tied together.
Nice. So how do you think social media is played? Let's tailor into that, and then I do want to get into. I want to talk to you a little bit about some cigar news of some consolidation that's been going on.
Yeah.
And I want to get your perspective, Jake's perspective, as the future of the industry. Yeah, if you want to go out 5-6 years, whatever you're comfortable with, talk about how long you've been in the industry. Say that 10 times. How long you've been in the industry, what you've seen, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of your take on that. And I'm not putting you on the spot because every guest or every interview, if I'm the host, that's usually one of my kind of wrapping up questions with them.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's funny. I was actually talking about the future of the industry last night. It's very uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at certain people are in certain groups are buying up a lot of the smaller guys.
Sure.
And there are actually a couple of online retailers who are now starting to buy retail locations.
Yes.
I mean, Cigar International itself are looking to start opening up 160 stores across the United States, whether they're calling them Casa de Monte Cristo or whatever they're calling them.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking to make those purchases and go brick and mortar, which leads me to believe the online sales might fade a little bit. And that's what they believe is going to happen, because why would you spend all this money opening retail locations if you think your online business is going to survive? I think they're worried about tobacco taxes and sales tax and all that other stuff now affecting, because one of the reasons why a lot of people buy online is you don't have to pay the taxes. You just have to pay the shipping. But now if you're adding in all the taxes and the shipping, it doesn't become worth it to buy it online. You just go to your brick and mortar and get it.
It's interesting take. Dave Garofalo, friend of the show, his recent State of the Cigar Union address, he noted 60% of all sales, are all, online status, and but much of the consumers now are using that brick and mortar as like window shopping almost, coming in, little sample, but they're doing their box purchasing online. So see that cultivated together with the online shops moving towards brick and mortar. It's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting, and outside of Stogie Geeks, I have a talk radio show as well, and it's called the Business Roundtable, and that is every week that comes up, whether I interview someone or like online has put such a huge damper. Positive or negative, depends, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the cigar industry that's experiencing that. It's
absolutely.
It's so I have
look at Amazon. You can buy anything on Amazon.
I know.
You're totally naive to think that the cigar world, as small as it is, the cigar community that we live in now, would be removed from that. No, this is life, and across the broad spectrum of business, it plays itself out.
Yeah, it's across the board. But interesting that, like you said, Cigars International wants to open up some brick and mortars.
Well, they wouldn't necessarily be Cigar International locations, because Cigar International also owns the rights to Casa de Monte Cristo. They own the rights to Casa Fuente.
It's popping up everywhere.
They own General Cigars too.
Right.
They're huge. So they own a serious chunk of the cigar industry. So they could very easily come in and just start wiping people out if they really wanted to, which would suck. But at the same time, it could also be an opportunity.
I think also business-wise, they have a built-in audience.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you have a customer who's used to shopping with you, monthly, daily, quarterly, whatever, yearly, whatever their buying frequency is, now you have a brick and mortar that they can walk into. It's a big game changer for local mom and pop shops.
Well, especially considering nobody knows what the FDA is going to do. If you look at a lot of the portfolio that somebody like General owns or somebody like Altus owns, a lot of it is that pre-predicate, the pre-predicate cigars, which means they were released before the date that the FDA is looking at stopping new cigars from coming out.
Right.
So there are a lot of little guys that are now starting to take shelter. Like, even if you look at Phil's company wasn't huge, but now that he's withdrew, he has some insurance, he has some protection, because it would
Online
really
presence.
hurt me personally to see that cigar go away.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of those cigars. So now I'm happy that a lot of those companies that are smaller, the smaller boutiques, are now getting the shelter they should have.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, social media,
Huge.
for the it's amazing.
It's everything.
For the Stogie Geeks listen, a couple things. Stogie Geeks out there, if you've had the experience with enjoying any of Phil Zanghi cigars, you can email Joe H at stogiegeeks.com or Joe D and tell us about it for sure. We definitely want to hear from you.
Yeah.
There. But
Curious about the market penetration elsewhere in the country as well.
yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we pretty much have a handle on it. We know what's going on here in New England, but
Because
outside
I've said
New
it on
England,
the show before too. Like when you go, like when we had IPCPR in New Orleans, you go to New Orleans and you walk into one of the cigar shops in New Orleans. The stuff that's on their shelf is totally different than the stuff I have on mine.
right?
I mean, they're all cigars I'm still familiar with, but it's different to see how vastly different markets are.
Facing sizes, just
Yeah.
region to region, very different animal.
oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. You're very active in social media.
Extremely.
And so if you could share with the Stogie Geeks listeners some brands that they should follow because they can get some pretty good knowledge.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good way to wrap up this segment.
Well, absolutely. I mean, first of all, Drew Estate obviously has the Drew Diplomat app. You get a lot of you can win some pretty cool prizes on
Are
the
you
Drew
active on
Diplomat
that?
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
The Drew Diplomat, it's almost kind of like Facebook for the Drew Estate people.
Sure.
So even if you're not a huge fan of Drew Estate, which I don't understand why you wouldn't be, definitely get the app. You can stay updated on what they're doing. They're very active on their Facebook.
An array of products, so you may not love it all, but there's probably something in there that's in your wheelhouse.
If there's not something in there that you love, then
right,
you don't love cigars.
there you go.
But they're very active on their Facebook. They're very good about it. Carlito's very, very active on his Facebook as well. So are Michael Herklotz with Nat Sherman, their Twitter. If you direct message them on Twitter, they get back to you instantly. Nat Sherman's very, very good with their social media as well. Actually, Nat Sherman just came out with 2 new sizes in the Sterling, too, which are fantastic.
Nice. You had mentioned LFT.
Yeah, LFD. So they've been doing these really cool. I mean, obviously, Lito's a really cool guy. Tony's awesome to hang out with, and he's awesome too. And they've been doing these great videos of the factory where they'll not even. I mean, obviously, they got the Felix Gonzalez, their master roller. They got him rolling those Salomon Unicos. Those videos are insane, where he's putting like Batman logos on cigars and doing all this crazy shit. And then you've got the videos where they've got Lito just kind of walking around the factory on his or rolling around on his
Segway,
hoverboard Segway thing, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That one was funny.
Very cool.
And but it's funny because they're doing these almost SNL like skit videos in the factory, which make you laugh and they're entertaining. But at the same time, you get to see
Beyond educational.
you get to see the color sorting table, you get to see the rollers, you get to see different parts of the factory that most people don't get to see unless they actually go.
I personally love to see more of that, man, and just give.
I'd love to see more companies do it.
Yeah, a little inside track to the listeners behind the scenes peek.
Yeah, I think that consumers in any industry, with the technological extravaganza that we're in, right? That's a good word, right?
Yeah.
With that, I think consumers of any industry want to see more.
Yeah.
And
more content, the better. Yeah,
and especially in an artisan industry like this, where it takes so much work to get to this end game.
Oh, for sure.
Right here.
See, that's where I was going. And then peeling it back, especially in the cigar industry.
Yeah.
Whether you're a new smoker or whether you're an experienced smoker, I think that if you're a new smoker, you get excited and you really pick up the passion of sharing a cigar with friends or loved ones and celebrating that moment in time that you got to spend together. But
that's why events like even the Drew Estate Barn Smokers that they do, it's so cool to be able to go to that field and see the entire field of tobacco that you'll be smoking in 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And then, you have Henry and Willie that are walking you through all the different steps that they do, from planting the seed to color sorting to rolling to blending.
I'd like to piggyback on top of that, and then all that rich history and insight and education, but then to couple that with the backing of events and meeting some of these people that are in the industry and the faces of the franchise, that it can't help but just draw you in. You're an instant follower after that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Love the cigars and everything all encompassing, but then you get to meet these characters of the industry, and for the most part, my dealings all great, well-grounded people.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a negative experience. This is one of those industries where you actually can meet your heroes because there's not a bad one. The cigar industry is a very old school industry. It's still done on a handshake and a smile, and everybody's
Great point.
just happy to sit down and smoke a cigar and hang out.
Absolutely. I think I've met so many people within the industry, and probably, if I could guess, about 10 episodes back, Joe D and I did a segment of, other than selling cigars, because both of us have had experience in selling cigars, either on a broker level or on a retail level. Other than that, what other opportunities have cigars given us? And like Jody and I, we were just rattling stuff off the top of our heads about those opportunities.
Yeah, it's a lot of networking. When you're sitting down just hanging out with people, you never know who you're going to meet. That's what I used to love about the little shop that was back on South Main Street when it was Sir Winston's and then Soma. You had literally the guy that mows the grass at Roger Williams Park to lawyers, doctors, politicians. Everybody went in there. Yeah. And it didn't matter. We all had a cigar in our hand. We were all equal, and we all were having the same conversation.
Yeah.
The same events and places are going on, all across the country, and those little shops, and making memories, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I've often said, if the world could solve some problems over smoking a cigar, it'd be a much better place.
Yeah. Well, I still say that's the problem with politics today, is that nobody drinks anymore.
Yeah, and I've often said, if the world can all come together like we're about to, starting at the end of this week with the Olympics, the world will be a much better place. Right? You know what I mean? There
are a lot of problems that can be solved by being locked in a room with a bottle of bourbon and a box of cigars.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
Absolutely. Industry. How long have you been in it? And what changes have you seen within your experience?
Yeah.
And then let's give our predictions a little bit, stepping outside. Let's try to leave FDA out of it.
Yeah.
Because I am...
It's looking favorable.
I have always said, and, I've always said, when that whole FDA was introduced to me, when I had my local radio show on a AM radio station, and then when I made the transition here as co-host of Stogie Geeks, so it's been now a span of 3 years now having this conversation. I honestly think that it's gonna be kick the can down the road. I'm not saying it's gonna go away, but I honestly think that future,
which is very good news.
It's there now. Yeah. I have had interviewed a bunch of people within the industry, either on the radio side or here on the Stogie Geek show, where they've said it's not. They said you're crazy, they're there, and so I guess if we could probably spend 45 minutes going back and forth, talk about what if. It's all beyond our power, for the most part, especially when you get a industry like Cigar Rights of America trying to get a petition, and then people trying to get once you start talking petitions at any level, and I'm not picking on that organization, just this is a cigar show, right? So once you start doing that, people wait, I don't
the brakes on,
they always put the brakes on politics, sex, and religion. Yeah. You know what I mean? So let's have this conversation to make it productive, non FDA.
Okay, so where do you want to start? Because that was about a 20-minute lead.
well, there's one thing that I don't have is word economy when I ask questions. Right.
Nice.
Right. Let's start where you.
Yeah. So we'll break this down.
Start where you want to.
So do you want to start with me? We can do that. So basically, I've been in the industry for about 5 years now, working at Ale House. I started there. I kind of just walked in off the street, basically, and said, "Hey, I heard you guys were looking for somebody." And fortunately, they actually were. That wasn't just a rumor. And they brought me on board, and I've been with them ever since. And it's always I have fun when I'm at work. That's one thing I can say, is that I actually enjoy my job.
Sure.
Which is something that not a lot of
people. But you brought to the
say.
table legitimate passion and knowledge base of cigars coming in. You just weren't any old Joe off the street. You were already
well, I had been smoking cigars for quite some time now.
Right.
But the good news is that I have a really in-depth business background. My dad's owned his own business since before I was even born.
Yep.
So, it was one of those.
Side note: I actually ran into your dad.
Did you?
Yep, I ran into.
Where'd you see him?
I plead the fifth. I don't know. I don't know if he was supposed to be there. It wasn't any place bad. It was a cigar shop, but
putting somebody through college.
Yeah.
No?
You know, but yeah, and when he introduced himself, I'm like, I know of you.
Yeah.
He's like, oh boy, oh boy.
I've heard the stories.
And I've sat down with him and spoken about his business and business model and stuff like that. And you know, so you come from a family.
I've learned a lot from
your
him.
father has a very successful business there, and you know, and with that has its own challenges for sure.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate that it's what I know about business isn't from like a college course. It's from actually seeing my dad be able to do it.
Yep.
And knowing kind of what works and what doesn't work, and taking it from there, I try to apply it to everything I do, like even social media stuff. Mm-hmm. Like last night, we gave away the TV live on Facebook for our Super Bowl raffle.
Full disclosure, I did end the conversation with your dad saying, if my dad owned a business, why aren't you involved in your dad's business? Like I told him, I'm like, you know, do you need a son? Like, cause
he's got two. He's got two. That's the sad thing. So I've always been a little bit more of a sleeper-inner, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
And his business, you got to be awake. Mm-hmm. But it's not even that. It's the food business is hard, man.
Sure.
It
every business.
sucks.
Every
business is hard, but the food business is a special level of torture.
Yep.
And it's just, I enjoy the cigar business. There's basically no backstabbing in this business. Mm-hmm. There really there's
what,
a lot
in the cigar business?
Not really.
Oh
no, there's not.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
I mean, there's a little bit of it in any business. It's going to happen, but you know, the people in the cigar industry are much more friendly. They're much more receptive.
Yep.
They're easier to do business with. They're easier to hang around with. And I like that aspect of it. My little brother, I say little, he's 6'5". My little brother was like Rob Gronkowski in the flesh.
I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me, and he's 6'4". So
oh yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, it's like living with a shaved gorilla. But he's an artist, man. He's not. He never got into the whole business thing. He's actually going to Emerson College right now for like lighting and stage design. He's an artist. That's what he does.
Right.
So.
So you had the business background. You know what it's like to the sacrifice that business owners have to go through and stuff like that.
I mean, that's why I've seen my dad sell since I was little. You know, my dad didn't get to where he was by sitting back and waiting patiently. My dad would kick down the front door of a supermarket, walk to the back, and go, "Who's the manager here?"
You have to. You know
and that's really watching that is how I've gotten to where I am.
It's like Joe D, right? You're a Providence firefighter. Is your business hot, Joe D?
Oh man.
Right. First of all, if there's a call and there's smoke showing, everybody's trying to get out. Joe D's gonna jump in.
Yeah.
You know,
Nature of the business.
you know, it's so every business has its challenges for sure.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think about the future?
You know, the future is going to be interesting. There are a lot of cigar companies now that are starting to have trouble, and that have gotten themselves into a little bit of hot water just because, and again, I don't want to go on the FDA, but because of that, they weren't keeping a lot in stock to ship out to people. So there's a lot of companies now that are facing a lot of back order issues.
Great point.
And right now, with where the industry is, like back in the day, if you wanted a Liga Privada, there was Liga Privada, and that was it. Mm-hmm. But now there's alternatives to everything. So it's kind of become well, if you can't get this, I have this. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot of companies that are going to get themselves into some hot water, and I think there's a lot of companies that are going to take that opportunity and thrive with it.
It's actually a good observation because I think that type of demeanor spreads past the newer cigar companies as well.
Yeah,
like even some of the older cigar companies who've had a head start. What I mean by head start, some of your classic facings get into that.
Yeah,
and it's tough to find that balance. It's tough, especially when it's a product that has to have its yearly harvest, go through its time component of producing something with smoking, blend component to market it, to get it out, distribution and shipping.
Yep.
Yeah.
Logistics.
There's so much more
of
out
that.
there. There's so much more choice that you really have to stay on your game all the time.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? 5-6 years out? You think it's? What do you think?
5-6 years out is going to be interesting. I think you're going to see a lot of either cigar companies opening up their own retail locations. Mm-hmm. it's gonna be interesting to see who stays powerful as far as the cigar companies go, and who's really gonna rise up and seize opportunities. Like if you look at somebody like Phil was a little guy. He was a very small fish in a very large pond, and now he's really climbing that ladder. He's making a name for himself, and I think you're going to see a lot of people doing that. And the climate's going to change a little bit, whereas now necessarily maybe the bigger companies are going to become smaller and scale down a little bit, and then you're going to see somebody like Phil rise up.
I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation.
Yeah,
I see
the consolidation's already happening.
I think that
I see brick and mortar consolidation, and those brick and mortars that are poised with an online presence. I see those guys as being on the top of the hill when all the dust settles. You need to have that component. You need to have the online component to combat those online sales that. I don't know. I don't see them going away anytime soon.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's gonna. I think by the next state of the, what does he call it? State of the Union.
State of the Union.
The State of the Cigar Union over on the Cigar Authority podcast that he usually does it during the first couple of weeks of January.
Correct. Yep.
It's a fascinating 20-something minute read.
Yeah.
That about his perspective. He's been doing it for years.
Yeah, he's forgotten more about the cigar industry than I know. So
yeah, for sure. And
if you're not paying attention to that, man, and reading between the lines, and you're gonna fall short. It's you have to forecast ahead and plan accordingly.
Yeah.
If you're not poised for that future move,
Yeah, I think 2018 IPCPR, we're gonna see a lot of the buzzword. If we could fast forward, say it's 3 weeks before IPCPR and we're here doing Stogie Geeks, I think it's going to be the buzzword of that is going to be a lot of collaboration.
Yeah,
it started already.
Yep.
Look what AJ's doing.
Yeah, I mean a lot of collaboration, and then
AJ, for sure. He's with everybody.
One of the best blenders in the world, and everybody's been kind of taking advantage of his knowledge and saying, "Hey, why don't you come do something with us, or do something with this guy?" And
yeah, a lot of
what we do.
A lot of like I said, a lot of collaboration, and then it'll change to a lot of consolidation for sure with the companies, different companies either merging together. Or rebranding themselves together.
Yeah. Which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing.
Because I know, have you traveled outside the United States? You ever traveled outside the United States? Okay. Have you ever go to a cigar shop outside the United States, stuff like that? Correct me if I'm wrong with places that I've been experienced to. In some countries, you get a box, say you want to buy a 5-pack, and they're different in the 5-pack. It's branded not of the company, the cigar company, and you don't know what you're getting. You don't really know what you're buying. Like if you want to say you're going to go to Japan, right? Or China, and you're going to get some Cubans, right? In some places, now I don't know the logistical rules with that, but you buy a 5-pack and you get all different ones. But when you look at the branding and boxing, it's nothing to do with cigars. You know what I mean? Did you ever have experience with that?
No.
Yeah, they'll have like a Asian woman on there, some writing. I don't read the language, so it could say Cohiba or something like that. You know what I mean? But I just found it very, and I wonder that if it would ever come to that, to where the creativity element, and this is the point of my conversation, to where the creativity element that we all enjoy, box presentation, how they're going to market, what the shtick is, with the cigar.
Joe, we touched on
items to come along with it.
We touched on it last week that the time frame by August, 30% of all boxes are going to have the warning labels. That's absolutely going to be integral and take away from that artwork, and we'll be knowing, appreciating, love now about cigar art and the boxes, and that's it's an interesting component that is coming. It's not an if, it definitely is. So curious, and then also moving forward about Jake had talked about the the stock for various companies, and do they go heavy or they hold back a little bit because of that factor?
Yeah.
So and then if you're not allowed to express yourself through branding and advertising, my biggest question is, what do you got?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's fast forward, and I'm not trying to use a somber tone and paint a dismal picture, but let's just fast forward 10 years from now, right? And what are we gonna do? We're all gonna be young enough to still consume cigars and hopefully be here, right?
Yep.
What's it gonna be like if you go and you purchase a Drew Estate Liga,
But it just comes in a plain white box.
But it
that says Liga Privat on it, and then you open the box and it's a plain white band that says Liga Privat on it.
Right, like what's that gonna?
And then you go to get a Monte Cristo white label. It's in the same white box with the same white label. It just says Monte Cristo white label on it.
Right, like what's that gonna do to the industry?
Yeah.
Because packages and presentation, I often spoke to your dad about that, when we were talking about business, about his product being next to someone else's, and
what sets you apart?
What sets you apart? Like when the consumer, can you imagine if it was watered down like that?
Because I have a lot of people that are walking into the humidor and they might not know a whole lot about cigars, but they want that one because it looks nice.
Pops, yeah.
And what happens when you take that? It looks nice away.
I think a great point, because I think if you take what's nice away, basic economics would tell you that product loyalty would be tighter. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, I'm not picking on Drew. I'm just trying to use something that the Stogie Geeks listener could.
Well, here, tell you what. Switch to something like the La Aurora Preferidos.
Okay, sure.
One of my favorite lines out there. They come in these really gorgeous tubes.
Yep.
And one of the reasons why I sell a lot of them is because they come in a beautiful, beautiful packaging.
All different
so
colors.
If somebody wants to give a present to somebody, or somebody wants to smoke something that makes them feel special,
certainly,
they're going to gravitate towards something like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you take that away? Are those people necessarily going to remain loyal to La Aurora, or are they going to say, that's kind of expensive for what it is now that it doesn't come in the fancy packaging?
Right. And when I have this conversation offline with either cigar shop owners or people who own companies, they're like, "You really gave a lot of thought about this." I says, "No, it's just I went to school for economics, so
we're just spitballing.
We've studied this stuff in college, like where blends are the same, and let's call a spade. People wrote books about this. The books about the future, and it's amazing how back in the 50s they say, okay, it's 1984, or back in look at Back to the Future movie, Back to the Future 2, which took place in 2050. Like that time's already going, and I don't know if how my brain works when I watch that movie now, if it's on or whatever, and I watch that. They weren't really that far off.
No.
You know what I mean? You got the hoverboard, the safe thing, and all the
cell
different,
phone,
all the crazy things that, think about it, not to go off on, this kid's going to email me with the hate mail. I'm going off on a tangent, right?
Yeah.
But not, how he holds a newspaper and it changed? That's nothing more than a tablet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's something more than a tablet, coming from the news industry, working for a news station before, or being, even now where I'm part of a news station lineup, being on the radio, I'm sure they wrote two versions of yesterday's game. You know what I mean? They wrote two versions of yesterday's game to get a head start and this and that, and then that's the one we're going with.
Yeah.
Because I know that, when we do radio promos at our level, and if we're going to talk, that's product specific with that, and it's dependent on an outcome that's past the point, but you do your promos before because you want people to tune in, you're going to do two different versions of your promo.
Right. So
at my level, you have to do that, let alone bringing this back to the Stogie Geeks show. What are they going to do for promos? 10 years from now, is it going to be flat and boring? Is it, or is the creativity component going to really come out?
Wrap up,
and then do that. I just think it's just a fascinating, I don't want to paint a dismal picture.
Yeah.
But, if you follow the bouncing ball from an economic perspective, logically.
Well, it would definitely be sad because especially with the direction everything's going. And like I said, Drew Estate is the king of marketing. They're the king of the artwork. They've got Subculture Studios. They do some really amazing stuff. What happens to Drew Estate when you take that away?
Right.
I mean, they're obviously still a huge player in the cigar game. They're still going to be around, but it's not going to have the same feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Joe D, you have anything else you want to add to the segment?
That's pretty much covers it, man. Ready to get into the cigar reviews? Pretty excited.
Jake, you did a great job pinch hitting for Phil.
Well done.
You did a great job.
Well
you
done,
did
brother.
a great job. When we come back, we're going to review our Stogies of the Week. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Stogie Geeks, episode 261, volume 3. This is where we talk about the sticks of the week. Very excited to be here. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. My co-host is Joe D.
Yeah, baby.
Doing a fascinating job.
Under the weather, boys, playing through.
Doing a fascinating
We've yet
job.
to call 911, so we're doing all right.
Good. Can't call 911. He wouldn't show up.
I am 911.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right, you are 911. So who does come to get you?
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's been an interesting episode. This is a good episode.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in just to the Sticks of the Week section, you definitely want to grab onto the other two sections and take a listen. I hope I didn't paint a dismal picture for you, but Jake, you did a great job filling in, so
Much
I appreciate you taking the time to come down here. We'll have to reschedule the interview with Phil.
Yeah.
And do that up, but maybe when you get some Wi-Fi in the States, for sure, because the Dominican Wi-Fi is, the gerbil running, keep the generator going, something like that. It's crazy. Sticks of the week. I have some good ones.
Yep.
I've switched up the format just to with some of the platforms, and I'll get into that.
Nice.
There too, but I gotta. You want to tune in because I got 2 box worthies.
Really?
Spoiler alert!
Oh man, there it is.
Spoiler 2 box
Tease them
worthies.
right, yeah.
So you definitely want to tune in for that. So
Beautiful.
Joe D, what have you been
I'll
smoking?
lead off with the Bandolero. Finally had an opportunity to smoke this. Undisclosed everything. $13 price point. It comes in jars of 25 with 8 sizes. I smoked the 6x54 Vanidosos, made by Nelson Alfonso. Falls under the United Cigar Group branch. Limited retail partners. I was able to pull leather, natural tobacco, and like a spicy tang flavor. Really enjoyable. Made in Costa Rica. Medium plus, and this particular stick was they're very price point conscious in comparison to the Atabey and the Byron. $13, totally different animal from the Byron and the Atabey, and this stick was a box worthy for me all day. Very enjoyable, and I'll be seeking it out in the future as well. Bandolero and the Vanidoso size.
If you're looking for Joe D's sticks, you just log on to wiki.stogiegeeks.com. You'll see the show notes there as well. You can check out those sticks. My sticks are posted in 2 spots. You can follow me on Instagram. That's Joe Hozempa, so Joe Hozempa. I posted 2 sticks up there, and my other 3 that I'm going to do for this episode are in the Stogie Geeks website. You go to stogiegeeks.com, click on Stogies, and I've taken some pictures and done some reviews that we're going to go for. First one I posted on Instagram was the Fum d'Amour by Illusion. I finally got to that Lancero size.
Yep. Nice.
The Lancero size is called a Juniperos or Uniperos. I don't know if the J is silent.
Juniperos?
There you go.
There it is.
That's
Sounds
why
good.
you're there.
That's why they bring me around.
That's why you bring. Hey, that's great. Right?
Called in the lefty.
Right, calling in, right? I was not hired to co-host this show for my Spanish and cigar translation.
We noticed.
Took me a while to get Criollo.
You're getting better, though.
I
You
am
are.
getting
Yeah,
better.
It's a form.
We're moving up in the world.
So what is it called?
Juniperos.
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 Juniperos. Yeah, J is silent.
Yeah.
Like it. That's a 7.5 by 40. Wrapper, binder, and filler are all Nicaraguan. Complexity, flavor, and balance on my scale from 1 to 10. Complexity, I gave it an 8. Flavor, 7. Balance, I gave it an 8. It's available in 5 different sizes. You can check out those sizes as well. Different from the other sizes. So I've officially had all the sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Illusion Fum d'Amour doesn't waste any time getting your attention. Creaminess pops up immediately. So does the pepper. Agree?
Absolutely.
Cool. Moving on, right? An interesting point with this is that the cigar uses no Ligero leaves from the plants, only Seco and Viso leaves were used within the creation of the stick. With that being said, it does get a little bit salty. Then the sweet cedar becomes very prominent. But here's my catch. On the bigger sizes, to me, the cedar component becomes prominent at the end. What I noticed on the Uniperos size, right?
Well played. Yeah.
Well played, right? On that size, it just stays with that mix of pepper and salt. So towards the end of that, I never really got that sweetness that I've had from the other ones. I would imagine, you have more of a wrapper component, and therefore that sweet cedar component that was relevant in the other sticks towards the end.
Right.
Really kind of faded almost halfway through for me. It wasn't bad at all.
Yep.
But
No, it's
again,
still a great smoke.
yeah, absolutely. But it does leave your palate with a mixture of pepper and salt, which I think is an interesting combination.
Yeah.
It's
So
very,
that's a great smoke, but again, whenever you tighten a ring gauge like that, and we talked about this on the Lancero show, you kind of lose some of the subtlety that's in it, which is not necessarily always a bad thing. That's one of those cigars that and actually the CYB, I prefer in a bigger ring gauge format because that subtlety that's in there, when you tighten up that ring gauge, you kind of lose it a little bit.
Yep. The rating system stayed the same. I still gave it a box split.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, all day. It's a box split. I did put that one up on Instagram. You know, they were going out there. I figure we'll get some more Stogie Geeks followers.
There you go.
And doing that there. You know.
Nice. My next one for me is the Gilberto Oliva Reserva Blanc, gifted me by Joe Ho.
Boom sauce.
Thanks, man.
Hello.
Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Ecuadorian binder, Nicaraguan filler. I smoked the Toro 6x50, $6.50 price point, which was awesome.
Right?
Yeah, it really is.
Really great price.
The flavor coupled with the price point, unreal. 5 sizes, boxes of 20. The Corona size comes in a cedar wrap. That's something to note. Barnyard and nuttiness were prominent for me, and really tasty as hell. Released in 2017 in August, and made it the Tabacalera Oliva de Nicaragua SA, and medium in strength. This is box worthy all day for me.
Absolutely.
Really enjoyable stick, and that price point too, man. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the Oliva Reserve Connecticut has always been a little bit boring to me. So that's why I was really happy when they came out with that Gilberto Blanc. I think it's got a lot more complexity to it.
Yep.
It does kind of make me a little sad, though, because I kind of wish, especially with Gilberto passing away recently, they did something a little bit more high-end and went a little grander with it. But that's a great cigar.
Yeah.
Gilberto
Ironically,
Oliva Reserva Blanc.
yeah. Ironically, my rating was a bump up. It was a fight Chuck Norris.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I toggle back and forth, man. It wasn't easy, but yeah, I'm right there. That box worthy plus box worthy, yeah.
Especially considering the price point.
Oh my god,
I think the price point definitely plays a big factor.
really
in that one.
enjoyable.
See, what happened, how I got introduced to that stick is the shop owner said, here, take that. You know, I go to different shops. They're like, hey, I'll try this. You want to review it, go for it, knock yourself out. You know, and when I got it and I got the price, I shied away from it. For weeks, you know.
You're thinking it's going to be a short fill type, but
I'm like, I shied away from it for weeks. And then what happened was that morning I had a really strong smoke at another shop. I was doing some consulting work for another tobacco shop. And then I was like, I was on a teeter of like, should I have another cigar or not? Because I was at another shop, right? So I did 2 shops in one day. And I was like, let me do this Gilberto Oliva. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I was
it's in my pocket, might as well.
You know, I was like, let me get to it, right? Yep. I get to it, and I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. Like, what am I smoking?
I did the same thing, too.
Is this the right band? Like, is this the...
When they released them at IPCPR, of course, I ordered them. They come in, and I'm sitting there with the invoice, and I keep pricing them out. I'm going, no, that's not right. That can't be right. And then I do, no, that can't be right. That's too cheap.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing it over and over. I mean, I sat with a calculator. I had to have done it 10 times going, there's something wrong with this calculator. I need a new calculator. There's no way that cigar is that cheap. Because I really wanted it to be almost like an Oliva V Milanio plus. You know, I wanted them to take it, especially since Gilberto's name was on it, I wanted them to take it to that next level. Right. And having smoked it, they took it to the next level, and they priced it at $7.
And they gave us one hell of a gift. Like, I mean, now, you know that is available in Sumatra. Do you have it in Sumatra?
Yep. I don't right now. So
no, have you had it? You've had it?
I haven't had it. And I don't have them in stock right now. They're having a little bit of trouble with shipping out the Sumatra. I have the Blanc right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it sells well.
It does very well.
Yeah. And people are you kidding me? Like,
is
the price right? Yeah, absolutely. It's a good smoke.
Absolutely, man.
You been smoking anything?
It's funny. I was talking with Joe D before we came on the show. Between the Patriots being in the Super Bowl and it being my birthday week, I've been hitting that drawer in the humidor that no one's allowed to go in.
Yeah, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I usually don't even look in that drawer, and lately I've been crushing things out of it. So I've been spoiling myself this week. It's going to be hard to come back down.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've been hitting. I had a Willie last year for my birthday. Actually, gave me a Nesta Miranda Reserve of 2011, which is one of my favorite cigars on the planet.
Yep.
And I finally said, you know what, screw it, I'm smoking it. I had a couple of Pappy Tradition Lonsdales.
Yeah.
There may or may not have been a Liga A that was involved in my week.
Awesome. Good stuff. What have you been doing, Joe?
Next to me is the Warped Cabinet Selección Lario Rojo. Undisclosed everything, but on one or two particular sites there alluded to it might have been Nicaraguan Habano wrapper, but very tight-lipped on this. $10 price point, box of 50. Smoked the 5.5 by 44 Corona, and come in boxes of 50. Released in 2016 in July, blended by Kyle Gellis. Notes of wood, spice, and pepper, and but it did debut with the IPCPR 2015, and then came out in 16. Purposefully kept under the radar just to see where it would go and see if it would take on legs of its own. They didn't really want to put too much hype behind it, just see where it went. The burn line was a little bit off on this particular cigar, and I felt it was affecting the flavor. A little bit of a roller coaster ride, tremendous flavor at certain points, and then others were just kind of straddling that mediocrity fence. Medium in strength. I gave it a try one. I'd like to try it again, maybe in a different size.
Here's an interesting question about that. Do you know if they blended it to the Corona?
I don't know.
Because back in the day, everybody used to blend a Corona. Now everybody's blending a Toro because it's the most popular size out there. So it might have been an issue where the Toro is what they blended it to. So when they brought it down to a Corona, it didn't maintain. True.
I was put on this cigar by Stogie Santa, Mark Feely over at Joyles, and
the drug pusher.
Yeah, and it had tremendous points of flavor and enjoyability, but it toggled back and forth between mediocrity. Felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be, and with the burn line issues, I can't give it higher than a try one.
Yeah,
try one, see where it's at. Maybe I'll circle back, try another one down the road. But
I've had those for a review for Stogie Geeks, and I want to say August timeframe, August September timeframe. There I've had different sizes, different blends. My take, like I said, it does have some points within that stick where you're like, oh wow, all right, it's doing something, and then it's like, oh wow, what's it doing? I don't like where it's going. You know?
It was weird. It was like a magic act, man.
If I could come up with one word, like to be totally honest with our listeners, right? Which I'm as honest as my opinion. Spotty.
Okay.
It's spotty. You know, and it's just so it doesn't know where it wants to go.
Yeah.
It does there, and I've honestly taken those, and I started reviews, and I just was like, I'm not talking about it.
The points of enjoyability were so good, and I really,
it starts building, and you're ready for it to keep going.
Yeah,
I
really got excited. I'm like, all right, maybe the first quarter or so, they weren't really moving the chains at no excitement level, and then it gets so good, and then it dropped off again, and then it picked back up, and it was a roller coaster ride, But it's the Warped Lario Rojo Cabinet Selección.
Nice.
Try one.
Yeah, try one. Go for it. But moving on. I've had, and I know Jake's going to help me with this one too. Right? I've had the EP Carrillo Short Run 2015. The size I had was Vencedores.
Ooh.
Good?
Yeah.
Woohoo! Judges?
Boom!
Sounds good.
All right. That's a 6 by 52. We have a Nicaraguan Criollo 98. Ooh, getting good, Joe D. Right? The binder is Nicaragua. The filler is from the Dominican Republic with some Nicaraguan blends in there. Complexity, flavor, and balance. I gave them all 8s. It's available in 3 different sizes. I've had 2 of the 3 different sizes. The EP Carrillo Short Run 2015 starts with touches of pepper and earth on the first few puffs. It's not too overwhelming, but in the beginning, it's worth paying attention to when you start this cigar, and there's a reason why I'm going to get to that.
Yep.
Those flavors pick up, and they continue. They continue on with a bit of a woody undertone, and starts towards the end. It starts to get woody, and it just blends nicely.
Nice.
However, paying attention to the when you first start the cigar, where you get the pepper and earth, comparing it to the EP Carrillo Short Run 2013, you're like, okay, my opinion, love the 2013.
Yep.
Awesome smoke. 2015, right? I did give it a box worthy. Okay. However, I do like the 2013 better, but it's age and time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You down some of that pepper in the 15?
Yeah. But I think as time progresses, that, maybe if you smoke it 6 months, year from now,
right,
when they get it on there, and that's really it. You really want to develop a relationship with your local tobacconist within your town. Ask them about some of the blends, if they carry any of the EP Carrillos, because you can find some really good gems in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And not only can you find some real good gems, bargain.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I'll buy 10. Can you do a little bit better on price? I think they'll make a move.
Yeah. EPC is really a sleeper around this region. It's one of those cigar brands that, for some reason, I've always had trouble having EPs go. But they're just such a good smoke, and it's never. I think they have a little bit of a branding issue.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're going to go through a rebrand within the next couple of years that I think is really going to help them out.
There you go.
Oh,
Nice.
did you? What'd you do?
I'm like,
you setting the carpet on fire?
I hope not. I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm off duty, man.
Well, good news is he's right here, so we're all
Hold
set.
on, we're good. We're good.
Next to me is the San Cristobal by Ashton, the original. Nicaraguan Corojo wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Cuban seed, Nicaraguan long fillers. Smoked the 7 1/4 by 49 Monumento. 9 1/4 price point, box of 22. It's 7 sizes. 2 hours plus smoking time. Found this up in New Hampshire with all kinds of plume on it, and this thing was beyond enjoyable. Cocoa, light wood, pepper, a little leather, earthy component, just flavor for days. Slightly tight on the drawer, but it didn't detract from the experience at all. Blended by Don Pepin Garcia, and very, very enjoyable. And this is a fun size, medium in strength, and absolutely a box split for me. Very enjoyable. So
Yeah,
this is a
definitely.
stick that I migrated to quite a bit.
That stick was definitely a success for Ashton. It did exactly what they wanted it to do.
This is my as far as like the
That blend is so good that I think if it was more expensive, they would have put an Ashton label on it. But because they wanted to keep it at a lower price point and didn't
Right.
want to cheapen the Ashton brand at the same time,
right.
they made it a San Cristobal.
This is my favorite offering from San Cristobal for sure.
Really? Over the Revelation?
Yeah. Revelation is number 2, but this is, and I'm not totally.
See, the
on board with-
Revelation's my jam.
Yeah.
That's
My
that's
jam.
my San Cristobal. That's the one right there. Whenever I walk into a shop and see those, I get a little excited.
Nice.
No, honestly, the Revelation was probably in the 1 hole, and I hadn't smoked the original in a while, and it took the reins for me.
Yeah.
It bumped it back into
Especially
the
when
1
it's
hole.
got plume growing on it.
Oh my God, how do you not?
How's the end of the San Cristobals to you?
The whole thing was enjoyable to me. It didn't. It was tight. The draw was a little tight. But
That
just
smoothness maintains really well.
the flavor component, it burned well all the way through. It was a great size too, the Monumento. Yep.
Awesome. Jake, you're going to have to help me with this one. I'm sure. Maybe.
What you got?
I've had the Hiram and Solomon, the Veiled Prophet.
Yep.
This was gifted to me by my friend Scott.
The purple band on there.
No, that's the one that comes in the wooden coffin.
Yeah, it comes
Red
in a
band.
coffin.
Gotcha.
It comes in a coffin. It's a 7x60. The wrapper is a, here we go, 2007 Arapiraca.
Oh, are you looking at me?
Is that the word?
Rapper Rocket.
I'm okay.
It's on, if anybody knows, you can help me out. You can flash me an email.
Yeah.
Joe@StogieGeeks.com over there.
I always butcher that.
That's the wrapper. The binder and filler are both from the Dominican. Complexity, I gave it 6. Flavor 7. Balance 7. It's available in one size, 7x60. Not a fan.
That's the problem.
Of the 7x60.
I love the blend. I don't like the size.
You know, and I think the size component really skewed the rating.
Yeah,
But-
definitely.
But that being said, the Veiled Prophet is a limited release stick. Comes in a single wood coffin. It's got a dark brown with a slightly red-hued wrapper. Stick's packed with tobacco.
Yeah,
It's a pretty...
It's a tight roll.
It's beefy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's got a real beefy feel to it. You know, it comes in this coffin. You're pulling out the coffin. You're pulling out this... It's got a gorgeous red hue to the
Great
wrapper.
presentation. That
Right.
box is beautiful, too. That bright red lacquer box.
Yeah, I took a picture of it. You go to StogieGeeks.com, click on Stogies. It's over there. It's packed. Pre-light, you got to take a sniff of this cigar.
Yeah.
You get a woodsy aroma, and you're like, okay, I'm in for a treat here,
Yep.
right? That being said, the first third starts off with some soft woodiness, a little bit of pepper. On the tail end, about halfway, it does get into like a richer, creamier body. It's got some flavors of coffee in there. Yeah, you know, a little bit of earth, a little bit of scotch of sweetness. I don't want to go as far as saying, you know, it's caramel or, you know, milk chocolate or cocoa or anything like that.
A little something.
It's got a good sweetness component with some earth. My only advice to the Stogie Geeks listener is if you seek out the stick, give it time to smoke. This is a 2-hour, 45-minute jam.
Don't rush it.
You know, I don't want to take your word, but it's a 2-hour, 45-minute jam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a big, beefy, packed with tobacco stick. Not a fan of the price point, but I don't make
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but, you know, like other industries, if you even leave cigars out, for that price, you're going to get X. You can go buy something else.
What would you
know.
end up paying for it?
Well, it was gifted to me,
Yeah.
but, you know, I always take it in consideration for the Stogie Geeks listener. It's about $16, 16 change, you know.
You can see it's funny because I had them for $12.75.
Okay, maybe it was $12.75. You know, like I said, it was gifted. It was gifted
Maybe.
to me. It was gifted to me. You know, but you know, I gave it a 5. You know, and again, how I rate it. Would I buy 5? Yeah. They're good sticks.
Yep.
They make great gifts.
They really do.
You know, especially if you have a friend who wants to try something new
And who is a Mason?
and who is a Mason.
There you go.
And also, you know, loves bigger ring gauges. You know, it makes a perfect gift for a friend, for sure. Nice. You know, but I give it a 5. I think if they took that blend, made it a little bit smaller, I think
even if they went Salamone with it, did the same amount of tobacco, just in a different format where you don't get the big, huge mouthfeel.
Yeah, because I mean,
size,
you know, you have a 60 ring gauge that's just packed, you know, and then you have a longer smoke. It's good, but I think if it was a smaller size, I think the rating could bump up higher.
Absolutely,
for sure. You know, that was the Hiram and Solomon, the Veiled Prophet.
Nice. Last for me was The Diesel by AJ Fernandez, Unlimited Maduro. Gifted to me by one of the listeners next door. Broadleaf Maduro wrapper, San Andreas binder, Honduran and Nicaraguan long filler. I smoked the 6x60 Gordo. $4.75 price point, box of 20, 5 different sizes. Pepper and coffee notes were prevalent in the cigar, and honestly overpowered any other flavor that I might have possibly been able to draw from it. The coffee and the pepper were just overwhelming. By all accounts, these sticks might need a little bit of rest. It's a full body smoke, and maybe the particular stick that was gifted to me probably had next to no rest, I'm guessing. This was a try one for me. AJ Fernandez Diesel, Unlimited Maduro. I would smoke it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
it's one of those
just one of those things. It didn't resonate well for me. That coffee and that pepper were just overpowering. It was a punch on the nose, and just, you know, was looking for a little bit more. But this could certainly be in somebody else's wheelhouse.
Yeah, but that's one of those deals that because of the low price point, I feel like people buy them just kicking around sticks, especially in a size like that. That's a mowing the lawn, playing golf type thing.
Yep.
The blend on that is actually really, really nice, but you got to let it have some time.
That's what I feel. I feel with a little bit of time. So maybe You may grab one down the road and let it sit for a little bit and see where
Yeah.
it goes. See if it comes up.
But it did $4.75.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they have a strong online component too. These-
Very, very strong.
you know,
And I feel like AJ kind of did that artfully, so he still has an online presence, but at the same time, he's not sort of, I don't want to say cheapening San Lotano and all his other stuff, but he's keeping the retail partners happy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. You know, I've again probably that August September time frame. I remember it has to be.
I mean,
August.
the diesels are all right. They're
Yeah,
not something to write home
I don't know if
about.
I haven't reached out and purchased one of my own to this point. It was gifted to me, and to review on the show. And the
Does your
whole
friend
thing.
hate you?
It's not that bad.
Honest question.
It's not that bad.
He loves it. He loves it personally. He thought it was going to be in my wheelhouse as well.
Man, he's going to hate you after seeing this. Though.
Probably. Yeah. I apologize. Thank
Gonna
you.
introduce
but
this kid to me. Hey.
You know.
I can't wait for after the show.
Yeah.
We're going to walk in Havana after this, and you're going to get attacked.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Pull the shield up.
Yeah, we'll let it happen.
I have two more. I had the Casa Fernandez Miami Reserva Maduro. That's what I'm doing for the show here.
Nice.
As well.
This is what it looks like beforehand.
Yeah, I took 2 pictures on it. You go to StogieGeeks.com. You can click on Stogies. It's over there. The size I had right now and also then was the Toro size. That's a 6x54. You have a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. Binder and filler are both Nicaraguan. Complexity, I gave it a 7. Flavor, I gave it a 7. And balance, I gave it an 8. It's available in 3 different sizes. You can check that out there. It starts off with some notes of pepper. You do get a little bit of a citrus note for sure.
Yep.
I enjoy that in the beginning.
Yep.
As opposed to just a straight pepper blast.
Yeah.
There. It's got a decent leather component that I thoroughly enjoy throughout the stick for sure. Coming from a Maduro, I do want to make a note, and I did on the website. You might think that it would come with some spice. Ironically, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have that I don't want to say Maduro bite to it, but that Maduro bite to it. It doesn't have that like it's not like a bite. It's just a smooth.
No, it never gets to that point.
Stick, and then even towards the end, I'm getting pretty close. It's good. So with that being said, hats off. Especially when you come close, is no harshness towards the end.
Yeah.
Especially when you get Maduro.
I think it's the Maduro word that throws people because Maduro is actually the start of a Maduro was you age tobacco on these big pilons. That's what they call them, where you just layer the leaf and you stack it and you leave it there to age. Mm-hmm. And Maduro came about when the inside of that pilon would become so hot, the leaf would actually caramelize. Mm-hmm. So the leaf in the middle would be darker, it would be smoother, it would be sweeter, and it would be stronger. So whenever you see Maduro, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get a lot more kick with it. It just means it's going to be darker, smoother, and sweeter than what the natural wrap would be.
Yeah. It's
and that's a perfect case of the Maduro not necessarily having more kick, but having that smoothness.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is one of those blends where if you develop a relationship with your tobacconist, you can probably get these cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And
Proof that you like it is that you're smoking it again right now.
Yeah. When I rated Paul's Humidor pre-show, it's a stick I grabbed. I said, "Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's good." I gave it a box split.
That's where I'm at with it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I've had two of the 3 sizes. I had the Corona Extra and I had the Toro. The Titan, the 6x60, I'd probably shy away from that. Just if it was available, I'd probably have it. Maybe if golfing or something like that.
So that's especially one of those sticks that at the price point that you can find them at, and the price point you could even talk to your local shop owner and get them down to, it's definitely worth picking them up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Final stick I have. I posted this on Instagram. You can follow me Instagram at Joe Hozempa. So JoeHozempa. The Davidoff Chef's Edition.
Oh God, yes. Yep.
I mean, you want to talk about a piece of work. First of all, you got like 6 chefs from around the world collaborating on that. To have that opportunity, to pair it with whatever the chefs are into, the pair after a meal is phenomenal.
Yep.
Depending on whatever your wheelhouse is. It's the type of stick that you could probably have at steak or seafood for sure. You know, I did have it. Well, I've had a bunch of these. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Which will boost the rating. I mean, how do you not?
How
How
do
you not get addicted to a $40 stick, right? From Davidoff. I mean,
Well, that's what. And anytime you see a Davidoff, you know it's gonna. You're paying for it, but you're paying for it because it's gonna be good. It's a guarantee.
Yep. I correct myself. It's a $30 stick, but they do come in boxes of 10. And with this, it starts off with creamy profile, strong flavors of leather. ... Did I mention it's creamy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's Davidoff.
Yep. Then you get notes of earth. And I guess what we've dubbed on the show between Paul and the two Joes, you get that Davidoff hay.
Yep.
For sure. Like, you're just like, oh, my God, this is like, okay,
Staple.
smoking a Davidoff. You know, we roll up the sleeves.
Yep.
You know.
Let's do this.
Just wiggling in the chair and it.
It's one of those cigars you keep the band on as long as you possibly can. So if anybody looks, it's a Davidoff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, see, I'm a band peeler.
You are a band peeler. I've noticed that about you.
As soon as I light up,
You can't wait. Yeah.
I don't.
The only reason why I'm not a band peeler instantly is because I've had problems where there's a glue issue.
Yeah.
And you go to take the band off before you light the cigar, and half the wrapper comes with it.
It wants to heat up just a little bit. Yeah.
I usually start smoking them so the band heats up a little bit, so the glue's not as solidly on there. So that way, when you do take the wrapper off, you got a lot less chance of ruining the cigar.
I like to rip it off, and if the band comes with it, I like to complain about the cigar.
You're that guy.
I've always been a band ripper. Like, I don't like it. You know, I don't know. It's because I'm a roller. You know, like I'm always rolling and chewing and doing that, and I don't know. I just don't. I don't like that. But anyway, that being said, sweetness, leather, hay, followed by notes of cocoa, a little bit of espresso. Treat yourself.
Do it.
And get one of these.
Do it.
Right? Would you agree?
It's
all day long.
Phenomenal.
You got to dig deep if you want a box worthy. But I did give him box worthy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know,
just keep in mind box worthy's $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ironic. Yeah.
But it's
box of 10
worth having 10 of them in your humidor.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And
in case something special happens.
In case something special, or make great gift.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have a friend who is in the food industry
that you like enough,
and you don't want a friend giving you one of those things. So I'm not,
I wouldn't mind,
That being said, but yeah, it's box worthy. I mean, you have it, and it's just like, and the presentation's cool too.
Oh, they're beautiful.
You know how they come in, they come in and it just the whole story behind it. You can Google it. It's in reviews. Some of the reviews, if you go to Half Wheel gives the actual names of the chefs who collaborated in that. And if you even just, take it a step further, a rainy day project, right? You Google those chefs, like these are people who just understand palates, not only in their respective industry, but even to be top of your game. And being able to collaborate on a stick like that has to be just an amazing experience.
Well, that's one of those reasons, too, why it's such an expensive stick, because the process that went into making it was so intensive. They come up with a blend, they hand it to these chefs and go, what do you think? And they say, well, I'd like more of this in it, more of that in it. So it took them a long time to develop that cigar.
Mm-hmm.
You planted the seed, man. My mouth's watering right now.
It's amazing.
When I get feel a little bit better.
I got to get in the car and go pick some of those up right now.
They're just great.
I haven't had one of those.
My palate comes back maybe in a week or so, and maybe
in a week, maybe in like 3 years.
And it's one of those sticks. Like don't be if you're really into like a full body or medium body, don't make that your second smoke. Just make that.
You lose everything.
Yeah, you lose. You lose.
No, this is the focus of the day right here, man. This, it all
encompassing. Yeah, you owe it to yourself to treat yourself to the Davidoff Chef's Edition, for sure.
Nice.
Jody, I hope you feel better.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
all right.
Hopefully that Z-Pack kicks in.
I hope so too.
Yeah. I hope you feel better. Enjoy your event. You're going to a Rocky Patel event tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to see the boys. chow down and probably scoot. I don't know if I'll be smoking tonight after.
Any word on what stick is featuring? Or?
No, nope. It's, keep it a top secret right now.
Top secret.
Yeah,
love it. The secrecy of this business.
I know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Jake, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you having here. You did a great job under the pressure and time component of interview. Like how do you get to 18 minutes with Phil Zanghi? Like
especially someone like him. There's so many. He's such an interesting guy.
Yes.
The beautiful thing is, Stogie Geeks listeners can go back, StogieGeeks.com, put in the search. Phil's been on the show 4 or 5 times in the past. You can see the past interviews, and we're gonna have him back again. So
yeah,
beautiful thing. We'll pin him down for a longer ride.
Whenever
next
he's
time.
back, I'll either be on the show or I'll be hiding over there just waving.
Happy to have it.
We can have you come back on the show.
Yeah,
of course, man.
We can have you come back on the show.
Of
Absolutely. I'll try to make that happen.
Nice.
Logistically, you have to get a bigger row of chairs.
have to get a couch.
Especially but there will be talk of boxing on the show.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Great. Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Yep.
This has been episode 261 of Stogie Geeks. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.